and gentlemen, just like that, we're back in another episode of Barely Watch Podcast. I'm your host with the most, Devon Booker. We have another gracious gentleman in the building. We have Mr. Lester Wiltfong Jr. in the building. Lester, how you feeling?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
No complaints, young man. We're getting closer to Bears football, so my anxiety levels are already through the roof regarding that on what type of season it'll be and what we saw so far. How about you, sir?
Nah, man, it's good. The Bears are what they're plugging along here in camp, and I don't know if you're following along some of the social media tweets from camp today. They got the Bills in, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of positivity, man. The defense been balling today. The offense looking good so far. So we'll have a recap up on Windy City Gridiron here this afternoon. But from what I can see, man, it looks pretty good. It should be a fun game on Sunday night for preseason number 2. That was good. I mean, they competed. I mean, that's what you look for in these preseason games. You look for these depth chart guys. They're fighting for jobs, and of course, the starters didn't play. So, you got to look at some of these guys that were on the bubble. A guy like Theo Beneday, the tackle, he had a pretty solid game, and that kind of now all of a sudden he's thrust into the left tackle competition for the Bears. So you kind of look at these guys and what they do in these preseason games, and if it matches the intensity and the practice stuff, and the coaches go give them a reward, and that's kind of what happened here with Beneday. And it doesn't hurt that he's in the mix now where Jones and Amagaji and Ozzie Trapillo, they haven't really stepped up and took the job. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right now, the way they're all talking, he's in the mix.
Stop playing. What? Oh my! See, now
It's
this is just gonna
wild.
keep getting. It's just gonna keep getting interesting because, like, when have the
Yeah,
Bears really ever had the position themselves where they had this many offensive tackles
yeah.
or linemen that were fighting for the starting job?
I mean, it seems like it's going to be Braxton Jones. I mean, him, and this whole week they've had Ozzie Trapillo working with the twos at right tackle,
Uh huh.
and they've had Jones kind of mixed in with the ones at left tackle. So I'm guessing they want Ozzie to be your swing. So they're kind of cross training him on both sides, which makes
Hmm.
sense. And then still seems like Braxton Jones. Again, we're still like a month, like 4 weeks away from the season opener. So I think they're hoping by then Jones's injury will be completely gone. Nothing to worry about. He'll get his technique and his conditioning where he's supposed to be back, and he'll be the guy that we saw the last few years when he's healthy. Yeah, that's been the Bears coaches the last few years. Like if let's say the center got hurt, they'd move a guard over and then put a new guard in. So they're really one injury means you're replacing two guys, which to me does not help the continuity of your line. If one guy goes down, look, let's plug and play. So I think that's what this new regime is going to do. That's why they're kind of cross training the backups to be ready for different spots. I really hope that if let's say if one of these guys go down, like let's say because the Chiefs had Joe Tooney kick out to left tackle last year. I hope
Hmm.
that's not going to be part of the plan this year. Let Joe Tooney play, stay at guard. If the left tackle does get hurt, okay, well then put in the new left tackle. Don't move two guys around to fix one injury. So I think that just it's a philosophy thing. I think that's just what the last few regimes have done, and I
Hmm.
don't get the sense this regime will do that. It's just this is a better coaching staff all around. I mean,
Yeah.
the stuff from the O line coach earlier this week, him talking, he doesn't give a f, man. He just goes in there. He says what he wants to say, right? He just
Yeah.
goes at it. He just says. I mean, he basically put his tackles on blast, right? It's like
Hmm.
they haven't been good, and he's like, hey, I'm not telling you nothing I haven't told them. They know it, so it's good that they're getting called out a little bit. They're being held accountable, which is
Hmm.
something the last regime just did not do.
Of course, of course. Speaking of preseason, what did you think of Ben Johnson's his face on the sideline? He looked a little bit upset at times as well as he should be. Granted, it is preseason, but his first year in the job, and he's treating it just like it's a regular season. What did you see?
it's an emotional coaching staff, which it's nice to see. Obviously he'll probably tamper that down as he gets a little more experience what he's doing here. But yeah, man, week one, Ben Johnson was fired up. His coaching staff was fired up. You saw Antoine Randall get pumped up. You saw the DB
Mhm.
coach Al Harris get fired up. So I mean, these guys are excited for their team, and this is a good. Again, going back to the staff that Ben Johnson made, a good mix of youth, a good mix of experience, and O-line coach Dan Roshar. Talk about Dennis Allen, the D coordinator. So it's a good mix of youth, experience, and again, this is on paper, this coaching staff should be able to get the best out of these guys.
Who can necessarily fill in. Johnson is not ready to go week one. Not saying that they'll step up big and be Jalen Johnson, but they have people that can fill in and fill some holes when Jalen Johnson, depending on if he's ready to go or not. Second was the receiving core because they had a lot of plays going downfield and the two touchdowns that I saw, like the number 20 guy, I forgot his name.
The receiver, John J.
Him,
Walker, I think it is.
there
Yeah,
we go. There we go. And so like the receiving core, they look pretty good, and it looks like we may have an efficient offense going for it. And the secondary, they played really good to me. Give me some standouts that you saw, Lester, even if it's just players and you don't necessarily say
Yeah,
groups.
I'll go with your receiver question first. Look, trying to, yeah, it's Jade Walker. Yeah, he's undrafted free agent. Again, these guys are hard to tell if they're going to be anything when they get picked up. But yeah, he's had a pretty decent camp. He's popped
Hmm.
up a little bit. So has J.P. Richardson. Another undrafted free agent, kind of made some plays in camp. These guys are practice squad guys, right? Eventually, they're not going to make the roster. The Bears receiving core is too deep. But the fact that you got some guys that are showing something here in camp, again, that's Ryan Poles, that's his coaching staff. They're going out and finding these guys to kind of come in and compete, and that's what they're doing. So then over to the secondary. Yeah, I mean, with Jalen Johnson out, they said that they do expect him back. They say he's on track, right? They hope he's back by week one.
By week one.
Every time they're asked, like, to be specific, you're not going to be specific. They're like, we're hopeful, right? That's what they
Yeah,
always
yeah, yeah,
say.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, they think he'll be back. That's what it looks like. It's kind of where it's trending. If you kind of look at, again, they're not saying the injury; it's Austin. You don't have to say it, but some of the
Hmm.
speculation could be hamstring. So if it's a hamstring issue, then you look at how long he's been off. Then yeah, week one is probably good to be there on track. But overall, yeah, it's pretty good secondary. Nick McLeod got some work with the ones at Nickelback in camp.
Hmm.
Josh Blackwell, he's of course your back on Nickelback. Kyler Gordon is week to
He
week.
was looking good.
Yeah, I mean the whole secondary as a whole. Tyree Stevenson's had some trouble the last few years, but it looks like that he's in the mix, but he's not handed that job. Charles Smith's there. He was hurt in the game, but he's been back practicing this week. So overall, I think the secondary is going to be a strength to this team again. Yeah, the last time we talked about it, said week to week they'll evaluate one of these soft tissue injuries to kind of see what happens. But again, his injury should put him back quicker than
Jalen
Jalen.
Johnson.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of injuries, your guy you talked about last week, Shamar Turner,
Yeah.
he was at practice today.
Nah, for
So
yeah, let's
yeah,
go. Let's go for real.
I wasn't
Let's go.
expecting it. Yeah, they when he first got hurt, the way they made it sound was it was an ankle. They
Uh-huh.
gave about a month timetable, so that tells you, oh, it's high ankle sprain. That's definitely going to be a month. But
Hmm.
whatever it wasn't as serious because he was back today in pads. I have not seen any updates come across Twitter if he was getting in the scrimmage today, but the fact he was out there dressed in full pads, that's definitely a good sign for him being ready week one.
Now, if you just had to throw a name out there of someone that may not be there week one for us, is there a name? Jalen Johnson?
Yeah, I mean it's again if it's a hamstring, so his conditioning is not going to be there. So
Hmm.
you want him you ideally like him back a couple weeks prior to the season,
Hmm.
so that way he gets his conditioning worked on and his chance to go out there. But I mean, if he is back and if he is healthy enough, and we talk about the depth of the secondary, right? So if he's back, I could see them definitely getting the start and then just kind of maybe rotating a little bit. just to kind of make sure his
Yeah.
conditioning is there, and then once he's full
Mhm.
go, obviously you let him play the whole game.
And we do have to remember that Jordan Addison will be serving his 3-game
Yes,
suspension, so the Vikings will be shorthanded in that Monday night matchup. So,
that's
I mean,
good.
maybe that is a chance for them to maybe work him back in and prepare him for week 2. We just never know how that's gonna go.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Now let's get ready for this Sunday night matchup that we have against the Buffalo Bills. Where that the starters finally getting their chance to go out there and show the Ben Johnson
I'm guessing
offense.
probably a quarter. You may see.
No, stop,
Well,
stop,
it all
stop.
depends. I mean, it's going to be on the game flow, right? I mean,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it seems like today, according to Twitter, they're getting a lot of work in. So, it's going to be a pretty intense practice. They All the beat guys were saying it was last week the Dolphins were kind of soft. They said the Bills
Uh-huh.
are intense. They're matching the Bears' intensity this week, so they're getting a lot of good work. There's been several skirmishes in the practice today.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so
It's football. You get it.
that's
You love
yeah,
it. You gotta love it.
the teams are fired up. They're going at it today. So yeah, I'm hoping to see a quarter out of them. They might go more. I mean, it depends if they feel they're not going to play them in the last preseason game. You may see them go a half. Who knows what happens here? But yeah, it's all depends on what the plan is moving forward. But they're definitely going to get a few series in, and that's probably the best thing for this team overall.
So tell me a little bit about what you expect to see, because obviously they're not going to go into the full bag. Obviously, it's still preseason. They're just running some tests and just out there running gun and get.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the teams don't game plan for preseason, right? So yeah, I mean, they may kind of have some idea, but there's no like full on scouting the opponent. Looking for tendencies. There's none of that. It's just kind of more vanilla stuff. But we'll kind of
Mhm,
see what we saw last week. We'll see kind of Ben Johnson kind of try and scheme some guys open. He's going to stick to the run game a little bit, work some play action stuff. I think for Ben and the offense, they just want to see them kind of run things efficiently, get out of the
mhm,
huddle quick. I mean, it's one thing doing it in practice tempo, and you have to do it in the game situation. So, getting out of the huddle quick, and these sounds like really boring things for fans, but if you get out of the huddle and you're out to the line with 20 seconds on the play clock, it gives your quarterback more time to kind of process what he's seeing pre-snap. He can make some changes if he has to, kind of make sure his guys are lined up. So it's just all part of the process that Ben Johnson's talked about is getting his teams ready. So we'll see some throws. Obviously, we're not going to see really too vanilla, but yeah, we'll see Caleb, get some work in. Colson Loveland, Luther Burden, we'll see them rotate these guys in and out there, and
yeah.
getting them all some playing time.
Now, do you see people like Colston Loveland, Luther Burden, Ozzy Trapillo, those guys being able to play longer than the starters normally would, since they're still trying to get their feet wet?
Yeah, it's possible. I would not doubt that. Especially with Loveland though, because Loveland seems like they have a big plan for him as far as your a lot of double tight end set.
Hmm.
So when they do eventually pull starters, I think he may be one of the guys they do pull. But Burden, since he's clearly going to be a reserve at receiver, I think we may see Burden play a little bit more than some of the other guys, and he may get some more opportunities. I mean, he had 2 catches last week, but if you ask me, they're pretty good because the one he caught and he knew where the first down marker was.
And he
He
got to the
went
first
right
down.
to it and dove. And then
Yeah,
the second catch he had, he was smart enough to get out of bounds to give him a chance for a field
yeah.
goal. So yeah, I want to see more Luther Burden if I can.
Let our fan base tell it. Luther Burden is already going to be the MVP of the league from those 2 catches for what, 41 yards? Like,
We're
even like
ready.
the announcers, they were like ecstatic after that
Yeah,
first down catch where he caught it and then he jumped to the first down. I was like, okay, that was nice, but like, I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket and just say,
yeah.
oh yeah, he's just about to have this explosive season, whatever the case may be. I live by a train, guys. I'm sorry about that.
Well, I mean, he's right now probably your fourth receiver because the guy they picked up from Washington, Zacchaeus. I mean, I'm going to
Hmm.
butcher his name all year, but yeah, he has had a nice camp. He has had a today. I'm looking at it now. He had a nice day today against the Bills in a during practice. So it's going to be tough for Burden to get those reps, but that's where Ben Johnson comes in, right? Rotating these guys in and out, making sure everybody's fresh.
Hmm.
You may see DJ Moore and Roman Dunze's snap counts as your one and your two. They may not be as high as some
Hmm.
other teams because you have such quality stuff here. Plus, also you have the 2 tight end sets you can run. You can do some things. Ben Johnson. He likes running 3 tight end sets. He likes running jumbo packages. So you're
Hmm.
going to see this offense really morph week to week based on the opponent. and where
Hmm.
he feels his best mismatches is. If he thinks that a team is weak against a four receiver set, you may see him do that a lot. So it's all going to be based on Ben Johnson changing week to week based on personnel and what he can
Hmm.
do and what he feels is best for his team.
Of course, of course. Now, how would you feel about all the people who are ripping Caleb apart? Especially, obviously, he had that one practice where he was throwing the dot drills and he wasn't hitting the targets. Where people say, "Oh, his accuracy just isn't there. He can't read the pre-snap, whatever the case may be." How do you feel about those Caleb Williams naysayers?
Yeah, a lot of it's just the national media because they know Chicago has a huge fan base. They're very active on social media. So if you're
Hmm.
Colin Coward for what is he, Foxy? A Fox guy? I'm not even sure who he is, but
Hmm.
if he says something stupid about the Bears and Caleb, that's going to get a ton of traction on social media. So a lot of it is just that these outlets wanting engagement. They're just trolling us, and we fall for the bait, right? So it is what it is, and you got some fans who are just stupid and they just want to look at him all. He stinks because of whatever he did, last year. He set several records, league wide and team records. He was the top pick for a reason. He'll be fine. He was with Shane Waldron and Matt Eberflus. Come on, yeah.
So they say of Austin Booker. Obviously, we saw him get his 3 sacks. We saw him look good. We still need to see more from him. I see that he did put on a couple pounds as well too. What are some keys to success for Austin Booker to succeed in this defense?
Yeah, I think he's still going to be your number three, number four defensive end, but he'll be in there rushing the passer. The one thing I did see that I didn't see a lot last year was he was like last year he won either with initial speed or he has the long arm technique, right? He's pretty tall guy. He puts that arm in the offensive tackle's chest and then he moves off that. In this preseason game, again, not a lot of snaps, but he won differently. He won with the spin. He had some other counter moves he kind of worked in there. So you could tell that he really worked on his toolbox to kind of get those moves in there. And I don't know, he's so young. I mean, he was a redshirt sophomore when he was drafted last year. So he came
Hmm.
in one of the youngest rookies, for the Bears. I think he was the youngest rookie for the Bears last year. So again, as he grows into his body, as he puts on more weight, more mass, he's going to be better and better each year, and then hopefully he keeps growing like he has from year one to year two. Well, I hope everyone's healthy. That's the key. It's preseason. We want everyone to get in and out of there with health. But yeah, I just want to see him, like I said, run the offense, be efficient. I want to see Dennis Allen a little bit. Again, we talk about the scheme. He does some goofy stuff up front. I want to see kind of what he does and kind of keep the offense off their toes. But the fact that they're getting all their work in today, and it sounds like that it's a pretty spirited joint practice. They both teams might be really vanilla. Who knows? It's just a matter of getting these young guys out there, getting some reps, and seeing who kind of pops off on the film. Anytime, man.